Have you ever read the Bible, the Torah, or other ancient sacred texts and felt there was a deeper layer, something beyond the common interpretation of gods and mythical creatures? Those accounts of powerful beings interacting with humanity, teaching or punishing. And what if the official history, the one they teach us in school, was missing the most incredible and mysterious chapters of our past? If you've ever felt that nagging suspicion, that deep curiosity for untold truths, then you're in the right place. Because what if the gods weren't just gods and their stories weren't just myths? For a long time, we've been conditioned to believe these ancient deities were mere fruits of primitive imagination. But what if these forgotten gods were real beings, survivors of an unimaginable catastrophe, heirs of an advanced, lost civilization, whose echoes we now misinterpret as mere folklore? Prepare to have your entire understanding of history, mythology, and even humanity's origins completely challenged. We will re-examine the hidden evidence. We'll connect the dots between the impossible architecture of Göbekli Tepe, the Sumerian Anunnaki, the legends of Atlantis, and the secret realms of Agartha and Hyperborea. You'll discover the astonishing possibility that these gods weren't supernatural entities, but incredibly advanced beings who shaped our world, leaving behind a forbidden truth that is waiting to be rediscovered. What if the gods that fill our myths and legends, those beings revered by the Egyptians as Thoth, or the Sumerians who called Enki, weren't just spiritual figures? What if, in fact, these gods were the last remnants of an advanced, almost unimaginable human civilization that flourished and then mysteriously disappeared? Imagine a time when humanity somehow reached a technological and intellectual level so high that, to the survivors of a global cataclysm, they could only be described as divine. It's an idea that completely changes our perception. We always think the concept of a god is purely mystical, but what if, at its root, it's a distorted memory, an ancestral recollection of people with such extraordinary capabilities and knowledge that, to those who saw them, it could only mean something supernatural? This is the essence of the forgotten gods, beings from a past that official history erased, but that mythology kept alive, even if veiled, because if you think about it, the mythology of distant cultures often describes gods who descended from the sky or came from the sea, bringing knowledge and civilization after a great disaster. These wouldn't be mere myths, but rather folkloric accounts of a real event, the escape or reappearance of survivors from a glorious age. These forgotten gods would then be the true architects of our early history, the ones who carried the legacy of a lost world to forge a new one. And it's precisely this idea of forgotten gods that forces us to reevaluate the evidence we have of our past. Because when we look at a site like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, the official story simply doesn't hold up. At over 1,600 years old, with 20-ton pillars carved with incredible precision, long before the pyramids, the question isn't how primitive hunter-gatherers built it, but who inspired them. Or better yet, who were these gods who instructed them? The incongruity of Göbekli Tepe becomes the first fingerprint of these forgotten gods. It's irrefutable proof that advanced knowledge existed in an era we deem barbaric. This wisdom, this capacity for engineering and astronomy, wouldn't have just appeared from nowhere. It was brought, it was transmitted, and it's from this point that the concept of gods stops being just a legend and starts to take shape as a historical memory of beings with superior intellect. This quest leads us directly to the oldest texts of humanity, those of the Sumerians. They clearly describe that their civilization wasn't invented but was given to them by beings they called the Anunnaki, those who from heaven to earth came. These Anunnaki are, for all intents and purposes, our best documented forgotten gods. They brought writing, mathematics, agriculture, and even ruled as kings for tens of thousands of years. It's hard to ignore this consistency. Civilizations emerging from nothing with advanced knowledge, always with the figure of gods as mentors. If the Anunnaki were these beings of advanced knowledge, the question that echoes is, where exactly did they come from? And all the legends, all the whispers of the past, guide us to one name that resonates with mystery and grandeur: Atlantis. Plato wasn't just telling a fable, he was recording a history passed down to him from Egyptian priests, about an extraordinary civilization that once existed. These were the true architects and perhaps the primary source of our forgotten gods. Imagine life in Atlantis. Plato described a society with crystal-based energy, transportation that defied gravity, and healing through sound. To any primitive society that witnessed this, these beings wouldn't be mere humans. They would be, without a shadow of a doubt, gods. They mastered forces that we consider mystical today, but that were purely technological to them. And when the Great Flood swept over Atlantis, these Atlanteans became the forgotten gods who suddenly found themselves homeless, scattered. It was from this diaspora that the figure of the gods began to spread and multiply. The Atlantean survivors, carrying their vast knowledge, appeared in different parts of the world. The Thoth of Egypt, the Quetzalcoatl of Mesoamerica, the Viracocha of the Andes. They all have incredibly similar descriptions. Light-skinned, bearded beings who came from the sea, taught writing, astronomy, and law, and founded civilizations from scratch. It's not a coincidence. It's the same story, told by different peoples, about the same forgotten gods who helped humanity restart. If these forgotten gods were so advanced and survived a global cataclysm, the question that naturally arises is, where did the wisest, the most powerful, the ones who possessed the most secret knowledge go? Not all of them would have scattered on the surface. Many myths and legends from distinct cultures point to a final place of refuge, a hidden sanctuary, the kingdom of Agartha, hidden in the depths of our own planet. Yes, we are talking about a subterranean world that would have become the home of the most ancient forgotten gods. Agartha isn't just a cave. It's described as an untouched utopia, a realm of light and knowledge that exists outside of time and the disasters of the surface. It's there that the essence of Atlantean civilization, the true wisdom of our gods, would have been taken to be preserved. A place where they could continue their evolution, observing humanity from afar, perhaps waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves or intervene again. This explains why, from time to time, stories emerge of beings who seem to come from below, bringing mystery and knowledge. And the most intriguing part is the constant mention of portals or entradas to this kingdom. The forbidden Mount Kailash in the Himalayas, a place so sacred no one can climb it. The legends of the beings living inside Mount Shasta in California, the unexplored passages under the Great Pyramids, which seem to be more than just tombs. In Antarctica, have you ever heard of Admiral Byrd and his famous diary, describing flying beyond the pole and finding a warm, green land? Did he stumble upon one of these entrances, finding one of the last refugees of our forgotten gods? It's a story that makes us question everything we think we know, right? The existence of Agartha, the hidden portals, the possibility of divine beings living among us or beneath us. The human mind is naturally curious, and these legends, these echoes of the past, invite us to go deeper. But before we unveil the most ancient origin of these forgotten gods and what really happened to their legacy, I want you to stop and think. Which of these puzzle pieces has intrigued you the most so far? Leave your comment down below. Knowing what grabs you the most helps us explore these mysteries even further. And if you're enjoying this journey, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our next dives into the hidden truths of the world. If Agartha is a refuge and Atlantis a lost civilization, what would be the most primordial origin point for these beings of unimaginable knowledge? Greek legends give us a glimpse with Hyperborea, a mythical land of eternal sun beyond the north wind. It wasn't just any paradise, but a place where Apollo himself would retreat to rejuvenate. What if this was the true original homeland of these forgotten gods? An idyllic civilization at the pole that, after a catastrophic shift, was turned to ice, forcing its inhabitants into a global diaspora, making them the first divine refugees. The big question then isn't whether the history of these forgotten gods was simply lost. The real question is, what if it was deliberately hidden? There is a powerful theory that, after the great cataclysms, the remnants of this advanced civilization, the gods themselves, decided or were forced to transform their true history and technology into mythology. They created tales of miracles and supernatural powers so that humanity, in its primitive state, wouldn't understand, or worse, wouldn't use their knowledge destructively. So, when we hear about Zeus, Odin, Ra, or Indra, perhaps we aren't hearing about supernatural beings, but about fragmented and hyperbolic memories of real leaders, scientists, and sages from a long-forgotten era. They were the masters of a world that crumbled, and their mythologies are the last codes of a forbidden history, waiting for us to decipher them. What really happened to this technology, And why is the truth about these forgotten gods so carefully veiled to this day? The clues are in our legends, if we know how to read them. And this quest to decode the mythologies of the forgotten gods leads us to question, what is their true legacy? Not just in impossible ruins or fragmented texts, but in our own collective consciousness. Could it be that myths aren't just stories, but a type of cultural barcode, with each deity and each legend acting as a marker for real events or beings that were so impactful they became eternal in our memory, even if distorted by time and translation? This complexity invites us to look beyond the obvious. The real question that lingers is about the future of this knowledge. If an advanced civilization fell and its gods were forgotten or went into hiding, what lessons can we learn from this for our own time? Are we repeating the same mistakes, ignoring the signs of a possible new cataclysm? Or are we finally ready to recognize that we are not the first, and perhaps not the last, to inhabit this planet with a high level of wisdom and technology? The truth of the forgotten gods could be a mirror for our own destiny, so, as we look to the sky or to the depths of the earth, to the pages of ancient books or to colossal sculptures, the story of the forgotten gods reveals itself as a constant invitation. An invitation to distrust simple narratives, to question the consensus, and to dare to seek out what has been deliberately obscured. Because in every myth, in every legend, in every unexplained ruin, may lie a crucial piece of our past, a truth waiting for us to rewrite not only history, but our own understanding of humanity's place in the universe. So, here we are at the end of our journey through the veils of time and mythology. We've begun to unveil the forbidden truth behind the forgotten gods, connecting ancient legends, impossible structures, and sacred texts to a story far more complex and fascinating than what we've been told. You've seen the clues, the whispered evidence in the stones of Göbekli Tepe, in the Sumerian accounts, and from the depths of Agartha to the icy myths of Hyperborea. But what will you do with this knowledge? Will you simply accept the official narrative, or will you dare to look at the world with new eyes, questioning every myth and every legend that has been presented as fact? Will you allow these ancestral truths to remain forgotten? Or will you join us in the relentless pursuit of more? The human mind yearns for mysteries, and the greatest adventure of all is the quest for truth itself. This journey to uncover the Veritas Mundis, the truths of the world, is far from over. If this deep dive into the origins of the forgotten gods has stirred your soul and ignited your curiosity, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button right now on the Veritas Mundis channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming explorations. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What part of this hidden history resonates most with you? Let's continue to unearth the most incredible stories and the deepest truths our world has to offer, together. Your journey into the true history of humanity has only just begun.